December 7th, 2023, the 9th edition of the Game Awards. You look online this weekend, reactions have been mixed. All right, the games we all expected to win, things like Baldur's Gate 3 or Alan Wake 2, they cleaned up real nice. But then there were some games where you go, huh? What? For example, I'm assuming that every media outlet voting suffered a recent and severe head injury or owns a specific type of yellow chair because somehow CyberPunk 2077 won Best Ongoing Game. CyberPunk, Best Ongoing Game. CyberPunk is not an ongoing game. Now, it was in competition with actual ongoing games like Final Fantasy XIV, Fortnite, Apex Legends, Genshin Impact, and yet somehow the award went to CyberPunk. It's not an ongoing game. There's nothing ongoing about it. It released some DLC, and it cleaned up the utter and absolute garbage that it was. Because look, this game was a mess at launch. It was garbage. And I don't know why this game gets celebrated. You don't celebrate people for fixing their own mess. That is like a baseline expectation. And this game was a mess. The devs were openly and profusely apologizing upon release. CD Projekt Red faced multiple class action lawsuits from investors. One of the co-founders of OpenCritic blatantly accused CD Projekt Red of misleading reviewers and thereby misleading us, the consumers. All right, Sony took the game down off the PlayStation Network and they allowed the friggin' jumping taco game to stay on. But yes, Cyberpunk was always good and we should definitely celebrate it. All right, that's enough of that. Doing my breathing techniques. Anyways, I want to go over the nominees and winners from the Game Awards, and I want to take care to make sure that I show the same respect and honor that the show itself showed to these people. Game of the Year, Baldur's Gate 3. Best Game Direction, Alan Wake 2. Best Adaptation, The Last of Us. Best Narrative, Alan Wake 2. Best Art Direction, Alan Wake 2. Final Fantasy 16, Hi-Fi Rush, Neil Newbin, Forza Motorsport, Cyberpunk, Cocoon, Sea of Stars, Baldur's Gate 3, Street Fighter 6, Forza Motorsport, Iron Mouse, Valorant, Potter. There's a lot of ongoing discussion right now about the ratio of marketing material versus celebration of actual industry workers, as well as discussion on the critical merit and overall value of the awards, given the flawed voting system from the voting roster to the cutoff date to the names of categories and how games are filtered into those different categories. So it's kind of a mess. My take is that everything's made up and the points don't matter. You might have seen in my last video, I didn't take the players' vote very seriously. I didn't take the show seriously. The Game Awards certainly didn't take the develops it wanted to honor seriously. But congrats to all the winners. I really am truly, from the bottom of my heart, deeply thankful for all of the hardworking game developers out there, the audio engineers, the artists, the level designers, the QA testers, the producers, the narrative leads. The work that they do is so vital and important to our culture and to the joy of... Look, I do think the Game Awards has merit. It's the biggest celebration in gaming each year. It's a cool spectacle. It's very fun to watch. But unless some serious changes are made, I don't believe it's ever going to be the award show that is first and foremost about honoring the artists that make the games we love. It's a marketing event. And frankly, any attempt to objectively rate the winners of each category feels like it requires too many caveats to make the discussion even worthwhile. Instead, let's do what the giant corporations want us to do and talk about the exciting projects that got announced or were already known but were shown off in further detail. At the end of the day, the games are what we love. And while I sincerely do want to thank game developers for the work they do, I also want to celebrate all the excitement from last night, seeing all these great trailers. I'm not going to talk about all of them because I didn't care about all of them, and that would be too long of a video. I'm going to talk about a handful that really stuck out to me and just in particular grabbed my noggin and took my imagination off somewhere fun in the moment, right? I'm sure down the road, more marketing or word of mouth from friends might bring some of these other games to light, so don't think I'm sliding any game if I missed it. In fact, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. What game stood out to you? What's your opinion on the Game Awards and its voting system? Let me know below, and let's get into it. All right, first up, we've got a new Hellblade 2 trailer. This game looks awesome. It's taken a long time, and I'm ready for it. They at least confirmed it's 2024, but no month, so I'm hyped. My hype is starting to like rust. They have been teasing this game, I feel like, for a little bit too long now, and it's like shit or get off the pot, Xbox. Like, put this game out. Sega announced a slew of games in development, including Streets of Rage, Jet Set Radio, Golden Axe, and more. Very cool to see them dipping into their classic catalog. I was a Sega kid as a young whippersnapper, and so it's pretty cool to see some of these games brought back. Then we've got No Rest for the Wicked from Ori developer Moon Studios. This is their take on a Diablo-style action RPG, and thanks to X, we can get a look into some of the design ideas that were at least on creative director Thomas Mahler's mind back in October of 2022. He says back in late 2022, referencing this game before it had been announced, he said, since quite a few of you hardcore ARPG fans wanted to know more about how we intend to make a dent within this genre, and since we always love to hear feedback, let me share some of our thoughts. Our roadmap has always really been quite simple, and he breaks down some pretty interesting ideas. You can at least see what kind of game this is going to be. Combat. We always thought the old point and click combat model isn't really adequate anymore. Each weapon should come with its own animation set, timing, spacing, etc. Using a rapier versus a greatsword should affect my entire build and not just in stats. Animation needs to be fluid and amazing. Every hit needs to feel crunchy and satisfying. Basically, combat in the ARPG genre has long been in desperate need of a next-gen update. Not just more flashiness, but a lot more substance and depth that doesn't just come from systems. He goes on to talk about exploration, a want of multiplayer, and like persistent multiplayer worlds, not just sort of drop in, drop out multiplayer, which is pretty interesting. And he talks about the town experience and wanting to limit it to one town that the player can actually progress and grow as the character does. So some pretty cool things here. They also mention, I don't know how I did that, but I did it. They also mention retention and how they don't want this game to be a game you play for 10 or 20 hours, but they want it to be a game you can keep coming back to and really get a lot of hours out of. So very much like their Diablo style game. I'm excited for it. I loved Ori. I'm really excited to see what Moon can do with this next. Metaphor Refantasio from Sega Atlas. Look, I've never played Persona, any of them, but I think this art style looks really awesome. And as it's not a sequel, this could be a cool jumping on point into Atlas games. The fact that it's on Game Pass will make it easier to give it a shot. And I really love the idea of what they've done here, putting developers' names in the trailer, kind of giving you an idea of who's working on this. I think more games should pick that up. All right, now we've got Exoborn. This is coming from Shark Mob with quote unquote key developers from the Division franchise, which if you follow this channel, you know I'm a big fan of the Division. Apparently they're working on this extraction shooter that is a unique spin on the Division Dark Zone mechanics. Without the RPG stat progression, it's more of a looter, but it's not a looter shooter. It's an extraction shooter. Try to keep up. I'm not fully sold, but I am listening. All right, Windblown from Dead Cells developer Motion Twin also caught my eye because I really love Dead Cells, and they have continued to update that game phenomenally. Motion Twin has a talent for game feel, aesthetics, music. My hype was tempered by the fact that it's early access. I will likely just wait for the finished game, but I'm very excited to get my hands on it when that time comes. Marvel's Blade gets announced by Arcane Lion. Publisher Bethesda describes it as a mature, single-player, third-person game set in Paris. I'm pretty fatigued with superhero media, but Blade could be the exception. He's Marvel, but he's not like a superhero. We'll see. I'm assuming since it's coming from a Bethesda studio that it will be Xbox PC only. Kimuri, coming from Unseen, the studio founded by former Tango Gameworks designer Akumi Nakamura. I believe this is their debut game, and look, this is all flash, baby. Slick art, parkour, a katana. I think I might be falling in love. Light No Fire. This looks awesome. Very ambitious fantasy open world from the studio that brought us No Man's Sky. Okay, let's keep the hype under lock and key because this one might need a little while in the oven. It could roll out like No Man's Sky or Sea of Thieves, where it takes years of updates and fleshing out for it to fully realize the vision the devs intend. Still, it does look sweet. From Archetype Entertainment and Wizards of the Coast comes Exodus, starring Matthew McConaughey. All right. I'm not going to give you a third. That would be too obvious, all right? Damn it. Mr. McConaughey, who as a fellow Texan I am legally required to give a hearty yee-haw to each time he appears on screen, showed up to announce that he will be voicing one of the characters. This is a story-driven RPG from former BioWare developers and the director of the original KOTOR. This is a game focused on the concept of time dilation, and according to Archetype Entertainment co-founder James Olin, Exodus introduces an innovative new sci-fi world that forces players to face the consequences of their choices over time. So those are the games that stood out to me. There was a lot more shown at the game game awards, but this is what popped in my mind. So I should go.